You can be sure it's a pressure cooker. The Supreme Federal Court, Glenn Greenwald, made things worse by exposing new information internationally over there in the United States of America. Meanwhile, new situations were revealed about Toffoli. And even that Leandro de Mori guy from ICN News, who was being paid by Inácio and the government more than $500,000 reais. He ended up spilling the beans over at Chico Pinheiro's ICN and so on. Guys, what's going on? It seems like they're upset with the Supreme Court justices. What a turn of events. I'll show you everything here. Hit the like button. Smash that like button. Join our family. We'll provide everything from now on.
Guys,
I'm stopping by here before starting several videos. This product here, Slim Fair. I lost 18 kilos, maybe even more by now, right? It's been a week and a half since I last weighed myself, in less than 2 months, right? I lost 10 kilos in 1 month and 18 kilos in nearly 2 months. Sometimes we have that habit, right? I always do it. Sometimes there's leftover food from the kid, leftover food from the wife, leftover food from the wife, and you go there and finish it. I had already reached 105 kilos. 105 kilos. I'm showing you the footage here. It's from a few months ago, okay? And one of our followers here ended up recommending this product to me. I got in touch with the people there, right? And I'm making it available here because I took it, right? It helped a lot, especially since we have to do all that planning to lose weight and everything, and sometimes it's complicated. The rush of daily life helped me a lot. So if you need it, right? Want to lose a few pounds to have a better quality of life? There's nothing better than Slim Fair. I had my own experience. You can see, look, my expression changed. Clothes that didn't fit me anymore. I showed the example of the pants that day. Guys, look at this one too. All of them. And these shorts didn't fit either. None of them fit. Slim Fair helped a lot. We lose inches pretty quickly, right? Of course, you also need to have a little willpower, but I'm sure all of you out there who have a goal, right? Will have it also. It helped a lot. Do you want to have the opportunity to get an amazing product, a little fizzy powder? Just so we can wrap up here, you put it in water. Did you eat? After that greasy meal, you take it. It's really worth it. It's honestly an amazing product. It worked for me, and I'm sure it'll work for you too. Sometimes we find ourselves in a tough situation, right? We want to lose weight, but it's really hard. This product is a natural Manjaro, no injections or artificial ingredients, and really helps you lose inches. Pan, the influencer, said Lula targeted the Centro, but hit the Supreme Court Center instead. What I didn't understand was this sellout here, Leandro de Mori, right? Calling it exclusive? ICL did this story. Look at the level things have reached. Dias Toffoli traveled on a plane associated with Beta Loco. First, he put here, look, Primeiro Comando de Capital. Wow. The Supreme Federal Court minister traveled on a private jet associated with Roberto Loco, right? Beto Loco, that's the nickname. Accused by the federal police and the São Paulo Public Prosecutor's Office of running a money laundering scheme that benefits the Primeiro Comando de Capital. Beto Loco has been a fugitive from justice since August, when Operation Hidden Carbon was launched. The minister traveled twice on the same day on the jet, with registration PRSMG, according to the report by pilot Mauro Caputi Matosino to UICL News. The aircraft is operated by Taxi Aérea Embarcacaba at 12:40 p.m. on September 22, 2024. Last year on Sunday, the minister boarded in Brasilia, heading to the city of Ourinhos in São Paulo. After landing, Dias Toffoli boarded a helicopter to the luxury Taiaia resort in Ribeirão Claro, Paraná, and it has officially had relatives of the minister among its partners. Around 6 p.m., the minister was already back in Ourinhos and was taken on the same jet to São Paulo. The report had access to the flight log of both flights and conversations with company employees. All of this here, remembering that Dias Toffoli was the person who started all the persecution by Alexandre de Moraes. Several journalists, people here in Brazil, the people on the right? When that information came out, that news, My Father's Friend's Friend, by Cruiseaway magazine, which was censored, but obviously media outlets just to make a little protest and all that. Afterwards, they didn't say anything else. It all started with Dias. Toffoli, everything, the beginning of it all, was the Supreme Court minister. Here, Folha de São Paulo, take a look. Says that Toffoli is extremely upset. He complains to Fagan about an ethics code agenda that Fagan wants to push, where ministers can't be in this situation these days. Now, the Federal Public Prosecutor's Office has distributed one of the most prestigious honors to the minister. It's all those things we see, right? This distribution of medals, honors, and things like that to try to elevate the image of these personalities. There's another moment, huh? Because the press that's been hammering now, it was Gilmar, then Toffoli, now Moraes, because situations here look once again Metropolis. Congressman calls out the Attorney General after Toffoli traveled with a lawyer in the master case. Who is questioning the Attorney General, and why did the Attorney General go? And concluded that Felipe Martins has to stay in jail, has to be arrested. This Felipe Martins has to be arrested, even though he's innocent. But the Attorney General hasn't said anything so far to Congressman Luis Felipe Orleans e Bragança, who asked him to look into this trip in Lima, Peru, right? Where the minister was with one of Banco Master's lawyers. This is causing a huge mess, and just look at the things that are coming to light, right? Each one is worse than the last. This news here, look, that I'm going to show you now, then I'll bring this one. Moraes traveled on a Brazilian Air Force jet to an event in Santa Catarina, while Fachinho used a commercial flight. Both attended the same event, but Moraes requested the Brazilian Air Force jet. But they say he's so popular, so why didn't he go with Fachinho on a commercial flight, right? Look, he took the Brazilian Air Force plane to the Judiciary event in Florianopolis in early November, at the same place, right? Edson Fachinho was on a commercial flight. Both judges went to Santa Catarina's capital on November 1-2 to attend the 19th National Judiciary meeting. Organized by the National Justice Council under Fachinho, the event aimed to approve 2026 goals. Even though he has the right to travel on an Air Force plane anywhere, since he's the president of the court, right? Fachinho chose to travel on a commercial flight. Moraes took off from São Paulo, where he also has a permanent residence, on an official Air Force aircraft. Moraes thinks he's the boss, right? Also from the Air Force. According to information from the Air Force portal, the plane that transported Moraes took off from Congonhas Airport in São Paulo in November at 1:55 in the afternoon. The aircraft carried only 3 passengers and landed in the capital of Santa Catarina at 2:50 on the same day. Of everything that's coming out, this is the lesser of evils, right? It's the lesser of evils here. President Trump's lawyer, he posted today. Look at this. Alexandre de Moraes leaked the contents of Bolsonaro's cell phone to the press after executing a search warrant at his house, exposing private conversations with his family. An action that violated all the principles of proper chain of custody and judicial impartiality. And now, in a twist worthy of a tragicomedy, the phone seized from Daniel Vaccaro revealed something that Moraes certainly did not expect to see in the headlines. The $23 million contract between Master Bank and his wife's law firm. The $129 million converted, right? That's why strict law enforcement protocols are important. Maybe now there's support for the idea that evidence shouldn't be leaked to harm political opponents. In other words, he's saying here, look, just reinforcing the point That's why law enforcement protocols must be carried out and are important. President Trump's lawyer is here. Look, check out the article that Metropolis did. The Moraes family's contract shocks the legal community because such high amounts have never been seen before. It was a law firm. The amounts of the fees paid to the firm of Alexandra de Moraes' wife and children surprised the legal community. Lawyers from renowned firms told the column, off the record, that this is possibly the largest contract ever signed by a law firm in the country. The columnist Malu Gaspar ended up exposing everything, right? She wasn't arrested, right? I don't think they'll have the guts. So, the guys did a study here. Look at this. The wife of Alexandra de Moraes is among the top highest paid experts in Brazil. Not even famous soccer players make what she's making. Neymar, for example, earns $7 million per mile. His wife gets 3,600,000 reais just from Banco Master, right? He's not the only client, is he? Daipe from Corinthians has 2.9 million, Gabigol 2.4 million, and Oscar 2.3 million. Hulk 2 million. Paulinho 2 million from Palmeiras, and Everton from Bahia 2 million reais. Look at the hit the players take, but it's not even close. Only the minister's wife, not a client. People keep bringing this up and making things more confusing. One of the most, let's say, well-known journalists worldwide, Grêmio Old, spilled the beans for everyone. Look at what he posted here. Grêmio posted it on their pages, made a news report. Look at this. Sometimes the factions in power are so corrupt that it's difficult to write about it. In Brazil, Banco Master is an entity that recently collapsed due to systemic fraud. The Supreme Federal Court decided that only it, and not a lower court, could judge the case and quickly placed it under maximum secrecy. Then the court issued a series of decisions favorable to the bank. I'm reading this here in Portuguese, but he wrote all of this in English. All of it here, look, in English. It was discovered that the bank, which was under criminal investigation for fraud, paid the law firm of the wife and the immoral children of the Supreme Federal Court $35 million. In 18 months, few Brazilian lawyers have ever heard of such high amounts. He even mentions it here. Moraes and his wife recently purchased a mansion in Brasilia for $4 million. Total coincidence, he says. And the Supreme Court judge, who decided that the case was completely confidential, traveled on a private jet a few days before his important decision in favor of the bank, with an important lawyer of the director of the same bank, a close associate and ally of Lula. To fly to Peru and watch his favorite soccer team? How the Supreme Court became a totally autocratic institution with unlimited powers that the establishment gave it and applauded. So it could dismantle the Bolsonaro movement and block him from running in democratic elections, with no one able to intervene. The same media that granted Moraes and the Supreme Court these absolute and tyrannical powers is now begging for them to be taken back now that Bolsonaro is in jail. Obviously, that's never going to happen. Do any of these people read history? All temporary emergency tyrannical powers have become permanent. Look at what he posts here, exposing the whole thing abroad and several international messages from Americans here to Glenn, and then he posted it. I know dozens of lawyers who speak passionately and intensely about the abuses of Moraes and the Supreme Federal Court in particular. Criminal lawyers, many of whom hated the Lord Justice, are outraged. But the OAB is highly politicized and fearful, staying silent. OAB, my friends. The truth is, for many years, it's just been leeching. That's what many lawyers say. The lawyers' money, which they have to pay. Large amounts every year to the organization. It's a lot of money. Many lawyers leave Brazil and must pay the annual fee to keep their license. It's the biggest union in the world, if you think about it. The OAB is the biggest union. It's a kind of union. Extremely powerful, influential lawyers who look... Nobody knows anything. Look here, to finish, Glenn adds. If the left hadn't made Xandão their cult, their religion, and if Globo hadn't helped to criminalize harsh criticism against him, this would be a gigantic scandal. Moraes and the Supreme Court are fortunate to have unlimited power, with no one able to intervene. About the article on the 129 million reais, to his wife's law firm, I made things complicated. No, there's no such thing. Only until Monday, like Carmen Lucia. What more does it take for Brazilian society to react, right? Innocent people imprisoned and all this barbarity. Okay, it's gone beyond all limits, right? It has. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. The first thing that should be done, for example, is that no president should ever appoint a minister, another term of 4 years. And it's not just for Supreme Court ministers, it's for senators too. Every 4 years. What's this 8-year idea? That doesn't exist, especially now with lifetime appointments like the Supreme Court. And another thing, in public office, right? People who pass civil service exams, who spend a long time in the legal profession, and those should be chosen for the Supreme Federal Court. And another thing, any judge who has a relative working as a lawyer and so on. It doesn't work because otherwise it turns into this. But the house is falling. It's just like Trump's lawyer, which even the United States reinforced yesterday. The magistrate even made it even harsher. Even Glenn Greenwald exposes everything there in the United States. Even the ICM, in Toffoli's case. The house is falling, you can be sure, but hit that like button, tap the like button. Join our family by subscribing to the News and Information channel for updates all day.